Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Virche Epic Lycoris, going to wrap up Lucas's encore ending. So we got the first version of the ending. I wouldn't say the good ending. We got the first version, the at the end of atonement end. And then now we're going to get our other alternate end. So not one of the bad ends. So one of the average ends? Just the end? It's not a good end necessarily, but it's not a bad end? I don't know. Anyway. So I loaded our save file, our last one here. We're gonna take his hand this time. Bird. Shh. No peanut gallery. Story of Atonement. Yeah, the other one was like Story of a... This seems like it might be a little bit better than the other one. The other one was like Story of a Killer or something, right? Which is just weird that that's... Well, anyway. Lucas, I took his trembling hand. Okay, no, I'm sure none of this is red. That's true. You've worked so hard, but you don't need to try so hard anymore. I laced my fingers with his. But if you still insist on needing to try so hard, let's try hard together. You aren't alone anymore, Lucas. Lucas's hand, stained with invisible blood, slowly and knowingly gripped my hand back. So, like, it's interesting because you'd think holding him would be better, but... Well, that's true. Okay, well, wait. All right, so he hasn't seen... You know what I mean? You think holding him is better than just holding his hand, but holding his hand seems to be slightly better because holding him led to him, like, the chain of events that was then he runs off and slaughters everyone and then dies. So, I'm not saying he's going to make it out alive here, but this end is titled Family, so that makes it sound like it might be better. I see. Hope then fall to despair. That's how I've lived all these years. My blind faith, which I thought was a ray of light, was actually created out of malice. Why? I can't speak for myself, born the monster I am. But why must God also put these people who are so dear to me and care so much about me through these cruel trials? My mind went blank. Within the void of darkness, kill, 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 kill. With each wild heartbeat, the command to kill pulsed closer and closer toward my mind. But that was the one thing I must not allow. Even though my memories were drowned in my bloodlust, I made a promise that I would say when I didn't want to do something. I'll fight against my own destiny. I couldn't remember their face. But if I were to break my promise with them, then I would rather just die. The fact that a monster like me exists at all is what's wrong. The moment I had that thought, but you don't need to try so hard anymore. I laced my fingers with his, but if you still insist on needing to try so hard, let's try hard together. You aren't alone anymore, Lucas. I felt the sensation of someone holding my hand, stained with sin, without hesitation. It's warm. I felt the warmth of these fingers around mine from somewhere. Is this a ring made of flowers? Yes, I was able to make it based on what you taught me. Lovely young miss, would you do me the kindness of accepting this? Right. It was you. You were my first hope, which I had locked away and forgotten. I didn't need to experience a miracle like coming back from the dead to remember. My first and last love. I've been offering everything to you since the beginning. I savored this reality, and in the same moment, I realized my heart rate was returning to its normal, steady pulse. I slowly raised my head, which had been hanging down, to look away from reality. Even if my very existence should never have been, I promise our meeting each other and reuniting wasn't a mistake. Remember, I wouldn't forgive myself for dying here and now without remembering her smiling face. My first love, my beloved, the one I loved so much. There was only one name I could think of that could represent. Within all the separating paths across my destiny, the treasure I was able to gain was Spacey. What are you doing, Bird? It's very fidgety.
What? You're being very fidgety. You want to go downstairs? I could chuck you down there. We're going to be up here to finish this part. Probably going to be like 30 to 40 minutes. I hope it's not a long hour, because he's very hungry, but I figured we'd do this.
Spacey. He spoke my name, not in madness, but as if to confirm that it was me. Lucas? I replied back to him as if asking whether he remembered me as well. It feels so soon. That you've become a beautiful woman who suits a ring of flowers so well. He looked up, his expression on the brink of tears. Lucas. Ignoring the fact that he was covered in blood, I dove into his chest. I'm sorry I didn't reply back to you, even though you were calling out to me all this time. However, I swear, I'll never lose sight of you again. Yes, yes. I too promise to be by your side forever, so you'll never be lost again. Together with Nadia, who's right around the corner. Thank you. Lucas and I tightened our grasp on each other's hands. After we stood back up, I brought him toward the shadows of the machine nearby. Nadia.
Brother!
Nadia also grabbed onto Lucas's cloaked arm. I'm sorry. You've been through so much pain because of me. This murderer should have no right to even be near you.
It's not true. Whatever happens to you, you're still the brother I love so much. And I'm the one who needs to apologize to you. I'm sorry. I never knew how you felt until now. I'm sorry for making you work so hard on your own.
Nadia. While still hesitating, he gently rubbed Nadia's back. Nadia's been worried about you all this time. Lucas nodded in acknowledgement. It's just as you said. I've been trying too hard on my own. I was so desperate to get something that was normal and gave up on myself thinking I was special. And threw away all the weaknesses a normal person has, and emotions along with them. Yes, but it would make me happy if you'd let us help you from now on. We're family, after all. Family. Well, it's too early for me to be talking like that, isn't it? No, that's not true at all. I've lost the right to forge any new bonds. But if it's something you wish, then I'll... Look, he's blushing. Oh, no. He wanted to be with his family. I was sure that was what Lucas was about to say, but unable to put his promise into words. Lucas! Brother! The blood he spit up mixed with the medicinal water at her feet, creating an odd color. Even though he looked like he would collapse at any or right at that moment, Lucas kept himself standing out of sheer willpower. Even though I might have gotten my light back, it seems my lifespan won't let things work out so easily. I mean, there's no way God would forgive a grave sinner who's committed so many crimes. No. I was finally able to bring him back from his despair. As I lamented to myself, Lucas... But before that, I must make amends for the sins I've committed. After wiping the blood from his mouth, he looked down at his halberd. Lucas?
Brother?
Before Nadia and I could ask him what the look in his eyes meant, we heard an electronic buzzing coming from the transmitter at my chest. Adolphe gave it to me just in case something were to happen. If it was making any sound, that meant... Adolphe? Who's saying, Adolphe, can you hear me? No, this voice first was from one of the Corps members who had discussed the raid with Adolphe. Okay, it was just a rando. He must have mistakenly called out his name, not knowing I had Adolphe's transmitter. However, I was unable to correct him as he continued. It's an emergency! Adolphe, get back up here, quick! But Boro! No, multiple Boros are attracting Cernival all at once! A curtain of static opened to reveal the tragedy that was about to unfold. Other? The Arpachel that was under the rule of Cyan Brophes would end tonight. Ah, get away! Where are we even supposed to run? We're surrounded by Boros! With the same stature, the same weapon, and even the same genes as their original, the men dropped onto the streets of Cernival and began cutting down the believers of the wicked Cyan Brophes. This is an order from the director and deputy director! Prioritize the safety of the Institute's researchers! So long as they and the director stay alive, those who have backups can be revived! Unlike the Royal Guard, the Institute's security forces specialized in defensive tactics and moved to stand against the enemy. But in front of these monsters, they were easily cut down. It was quite a sight. Were we supposed to be reading that as Capucine? I was just laughing like him. There he stood, watching the scene around him from the Institute, which he had taken over. No, because it says he, so. The images from the surveillance system showed in detail the site of Cernival being turned into the grounds of a massacre. Okay, so, like, this one might end up working out better for Lucas, but not really for everyone else if Capucine doesn't die, so. Ah, Cernival, the fortress built by Cyan Brophes. My creations are destroying every last bit of it. This is wonderful. I'm surely the chosen scientist of this country and the world. I'm sure Lucas is using the last moments of his life to kill Cyan Brophes, who's hidden underground. In that case, all that's left is that foolish deputy director and the other Reliver researchers. Once I kill them all, that wretched royal family will surely give me the authority to conduct all the research I want. He stood above the raining blood and flesh in Cernival. Ah, wait for me, precious Nadia's genes. He's getting a little too into it and blushy about it. It's so creepy. Once I rule this nation, you'll have become a beautiful doll, and I promise to have you beside me as my bride. Imagining a glorious future, he shouted the name of the girl whose genes he loved so dearly in his excitement. Just then a blaring alarm sounded from the security system, along with the disturbance that triggered it. What was that? Sensing something terribly wrong, Capucine switched on the surveillance system in an attempt to find the source of the loud crash. I'm just gonna say, it's probably Lucas busting through this, but also, I don't think Dahut's gonna let you fucking touch Nadia. Not here. Not here. That means... He reached the last video feed he could think of, the entrance of the institute he was occupying right at this moment. The beautifully adorned entrance of the National Research Institute, the crystallization of the nation's knowledge, had a massive hole torn into it, as if cleared straight through by a massive boulder. And at its center stood his powerful spear, which he had hoped would conveniently die after killing Cyan Brophes. Okay, well, we can just hope that Capucine dies a painful death here, too. Why is Lucas here? I injected him with so much of the drug, he should have been completely brainwashed. Capucine. Lucas looked directly at him through the video feed. Capucine's personally created murderer then began to speak. Thank you very much for saving Nadia and me until now. I will repay my debt to you with this blade, right this very moment, by ensuring I take your life painlessly. He had on a beautiful, compassionate smile. To Capucine, however, that was most certainly the smile of a demon. Fiends like us have no right to talk about the future. We must know our place as sinners. So tonight, won't you come with me to Hades, minister? I gotta be honest. Please tell me he's gonna kill Capucine, but also, this version of killing Capucine and saying these things to him is like some chef's kiss. It's so much better. Instead of just kill, smushes his skull. Instead of like, I'm gonna drag you down to hell with me. Like, hell yeah! That's amazing. I love it. That was what he proclaimed, but his body was already at its limit. He was only able to make it this far because I held his body to support him. Not even trying to hold down the blood that raced up his throat, he spat it across the ground and wiped his mouth. What lay in his eyes was the resolve to do one last thing. Lucas. Brother. I'm truly sorry. I suppose, no matter what state of mind I'm in, I'm still a cold-blooded murderer. No, it's absolutely fine that you're gonna kill Capucine. No, that's forgiven. Even God is like, nah, that's cool, bro. He smiled with self-deprecation and separated himself from me. Please take care of Nadia. He'd been holding on to Nadia, whom he now passed to me.
Brother, I don't want you to leave me behind. At the very least, if you could just wait for Adolphe and the others to get back.
I cannot. They're keeping new versions of me from being released from underground. I remembered Adolphe and the others, who fought for their lives as they urged us to go on without them. I hope they don't die, because that would suck. I have a feeling the CG and the family end of this is going to be like, okay, then Nadia is going to die, Lucas is going to die, and then when we die, we'll all be together in the afterlife, and that's going to be it, I must eliminate Capucine, the source of all these terrible events, as soon as possible for their sake as well.
But...
Girl, he's about to die. We ain't got time for you whining. Let him go and kill Capucine. I mean, I get it, but it's one of those, he's on his last legs, and then we have a 30-minute fucking conversation about why he shouldn't go, and it's like, he'd have died an hour ago. Nadia's frail arms, too tiny for her own body, clung desperately to her brother's sleeve. As his sister pleaded desperately for him not to go, Lucas gently grasped her arm. I'm sorry, and made her let go with a sorrowful look on his face. Even Nadia understood his answer. Her face twisted with sorrow, and she stopped trying to hold on to him. Sorry, Bert, I have to move. My hip hurts. But maybe I was the one who wanted to hold on to him. Spacey. Maybe he picked up on those feelings as he embraced me and Nadia together. If he did this, I wouldn't be able to hold back my feelings anymore. I really want to stop you. Please don't go. My feelings, pouring out from inside me, turned into tears that fell. In his weakened state, he was about to face clones of himself that possessed the same physical abilities he had normally. It was simply too reckless. Readying himself for the future to come, he decided he would go. This person was so stubborn and so much stronger than anyone else. Again, I mean, it's one of those, I get we have to have this little goodbye scene, but it's like, the more we talk to him and beg him not to go and have this conversation, the closer he is to death. Let him go while he's got 2 ounces of strength. I'm so glad I was able to come back to you, even if it was for a brief moment. He talked about his happiness with me in the past tense, preparing to rush toward death. I promised myself that I'd never leave you alone again. Thank you. Those feelings alone are enough for me. After gently letting me go, here's our CG. Okay, how beautiful. I mean, we got blood all over us, but it's still pretty. I love you, Spacey. We get a kiss. Oh. Now just imagine, okay, because obviously it's got to be a little dark. We got blood on our cheeks. If you took the blood off our cheeks, just imagine how beautiful this fucking CG. It would be gorgeous. It'd be 10 out of 10. It's a 9 out of 10 because of the blood on the cheeks. Because you know what I mean? Okay, that doesn't really take a full... It's still, you know what I mean. You're it's beautifully tragic now, though. It's got a tragic beauty to it because of the blood. But because you called out to me, I can live out the end of my life, not as Boro, but as Lucas Proust. Adjusting himself, he gave me a kiss that tasted of blood, and I knew right away this was his way of saying goodbye to me. Don't go. I couldn't even say that to him. Now, I'll be off. To ensure I can provide you and Nadia a future free of any genetic tragedies. Although her giant eye, looking shocked, they could have given you another version where maybe she didn't look like a fish. You know what I mean? She got fish eyes. Ooh, she makes it a little awkward, but it's still a beautiful CG. Just, ignore the gigantic eyes. Lucas let go of me, and with the smile of a little boy, turned around and left. With blurring vision, he hurried down the blood-stained tunnel. All around him were piles of corpses of the researchers and soldiers that were killed by his clones. It was a sight one could only call a tragedy. But I can still make it. The smell of blood was so dense, which meant the clones came through here only recently. He assumed the most important people were locked away in the innermost depths of the facility, yet to be killed. A wall right beside him smashed open as he passed it. Goosebumps covered him in an instant. Attempting to see through the wall dust that clouded his vision, Lucas immediately readied his halberd. What came down on him was another halberd, which he stopped with his own. I do hope they don't drag out him fighting his clones and stuff like that. I want to get to, get to killing Capucine. Get to that. Two Boros with no free will attempted to take the life and position of their original. But I'm sorry, my selves. I know you're pitiful beings made only to be used by another. But I can't let my own genes cause any more tragedy. He didn't know if they understood him. I don't have the time. Both of you come at me together. I have no fear of blades as purposeless as yours. Oh, good, he's going to slash him down real fast. Good. Because we don't need the long, drawn-out, we need to see this, okay, the clones are coming at him, okay. But we don't need, a fight. We don't need, it dragged out like that, you know what I mean? After making our way through the alleys of Cernaval, we reached Cheetahs. There were no Boros attacking the area here, but the people's faces were filled with fear at the commotion within Cernaval. I'm not sure even Cheetahs will be safe. Let's hurry on to Cohen. Okay. Still saddened by what just transpired, I carried Nadia toward Cohen. However, several other people seemed to have the same idea, crowding the street so chaotically we couldn't get through. How are we supposed to get through? Spacey! Given the situation, my heart nearly leapt out of my chest at suddenly hearing my name. Okay, wait, how are we going to get through? Mathis in the car. However, after calming down, I found I recognized the voice I heard. That's all I was hoping for. I want to see this fucker driving again. I'm so glad you're all right. Some people who escaped from Cernaval said they saw you. Mathis, whom I hadn't seen in a few days, rushed out from the back seat of his car. In the driver's seat, I saw Jean as well. Oh, we're going to let Jean drive? Well, that's fine. Whatever. It's not as good. It's not as good as Mathis driving. Mathis drives like a crazy person. We know why. What are you both doing here? I'll explain the details later. For now, let us get to safety. I believe hiding at the Claude family mansion would be far safer than attempting to force yourself into Cohen. You and the girl, please come with us. Right. Nadia and I got into the back seat of the car. With the Claude mansion as our destination, Jean drove carefully through the chaos of Cheetahs. Jean drove carefully. Mathis would have run some people over. Of course, now was not the time to chat idly. A heavy silence remained in the car during the ride. After a short while in silence... So, we were actually just on our way back from Cernaval.
which we headed for after hearing Boro appeared there.
Mathis suddenly started speaking, almost as if talking to himself. Oh, true. Mathis doesn't know.
And I saw the face of Boro under his cloak.
Which means?
The true identity of Boro is Lucas, isn't it?
Yes. Deciding that trying to hide it would betray him after thinking for a few seconds, I nodded back.
I knew it.
Yet Mathis's breathing was unexpectedly calm. He wasn't the same person who was enraged by Boro's appearance before. You would have to tell him, like, here's the thing. Capucine has clones of Lucas that's doing all the killing, and I'm pretty sure Lucas has been brainwashed, so. You weren't angry I didn't tell you who it was?
Of course not. You've done nothing wrong, Spacey. But I'm desperately trying to hold back my rage toward Boro. What I really want is to go back to Cernival right now and kill the one who killed my brother.
Not knowing who Nadia was, Mathis didn't hide his desire to kill Lucas. So why were you in Cheetahs?
Right. And here's the point about how powerless I was during what happened the other day. But I thought about it. If there are so many clones of Lucas, then maybe the one who killed my brother was one of the fakes, while Lucas himself knew nothing about what happened.
And then Jean, I like how they do Jean, ... because he's up there like, well, I mean, like, I ain't really dead, and you're not really my brother, you're technically my child, but sort of my brother, but like, whatever, semantics.
In the end, that might just be an excuse for my lack of courage to face him, though.
Mathis.
I don't think that's true.
Sitting on my lap, Nadia raised her voice.
To not want to forgive someone and being sad are both really strong feelings. To hold back from what you want, and even not holding back, those things are so hard to do. So... Thank you so much. I feel a bit pathetic forcing a girl younger than me to cheer me up. What are you planning to do now, Spacey?
Well, I want to first get Nadia somewhere safe. And after that, to be honest, I haven't thought about it. Removing any mention of Nadia's relationship with Lucas, I explained everything else I could.
I see.
Mathis seemed to decide on something, smiling with relief.
Then leave her in my care. You do whatever you need to do, Spacey.
Huh?
I'm sure you want to go to Lucas, right?
I realized he saw right through me. You can tell?
You're a dear friend of mine, after all.
However, I had to admit I felt some relief at having what I really wanted pointed out to me.
But you do realize just how dangerous that would be, right?
Yes, still, I know I'm only pushing myself onto him, but I promised that we'd both work hard together. That's why I'll go. I'm aware I'll simply be holding him back, though.
Even if that is true, that sounds just fine. If you love him, go to him.
Jean's over here being like, listen, everything that this fucker did, let's be real, he did it all for love, so he is like the hopeless romantic up in here, so.
Regardless of logic or circumstance, I think that's reason enough for a man and a woman in love to be together, don't you? That's certainly convincing, considering you have a lover yourself, Jean.
Mathis, Jean, thank you both so much. I won't forget this debt to you. I asked them to stop on one of the roads near Cernival. After checking that I still had the weapon in my pocket, I got out of the Claude family car.
Spacey!
I'll be going now, Nadia. I wrapped my arms around Nadia in a hug, and she looked anxiously back at me. I'm weak, so I can't say for sure I can bring Lucas back. But I promise you at the very least that he won't be alone.
Thank you. I believe in you and my brother.
I was sure she wanted to cry in that moment, but she held it in and told me,
Go, Spacey. If you do come back with my brother, let's all make beautiful flower crowns together.
She saw me off with a bright smile, unperturbed by despair. There were Lucas, okay.
My head felt heavy. My body wouldn't do what I told it to.
I felt like I was simply struggling through the sea of thick blood. Ugh, just a little more and I'll reach the inner rooms. I knocked away the bodies of the clones that swarmed me. Taking care of a single one of them already took a considerable amount of energy for me. But it ceased to end with the second and third one attacking me, along with even clones of the Royal Guard. I was at my limit just trying to guard myself against their blades, and deep wounds cut into my body. But still struggling to move forward, although it felt heavier than usual, I readied my halberd to swing. Lucas can't die before he kills Capucine, or I can shoot Capucine, whatever. Capucine has to die, though. Along with the coming of the end of my life, my vision was stained red, making me lose sight of the enemy. Even without my vision, I could recognize the sound of arrows tearing through the air. I prepared to throw a dagger to strike the foe who fired the arrow when...
Brother, why do you have such a scary look on your face?
In the line of fire, I saw my innocent little sister.
Sister.
A Nadia reliver. I knew what it was right away, sorry. Yet the hand that was about to throw the dagger paused. In that moment, one of the clones I thought I had killed stood up behind me and... I felt a searing hot impact across my back. My life's energy was sapped from me in an instant, and I helplessly fell to the ground. A vast amount of blood poured from my back and pooled across the floor. Nadia. I knew it was a fake, but we were still connected to each other by blood. She must have just been created, but I couldn't kill her. The reliver Nadia looked down at me with loveless eyes, and as if she simply lost interest in me, let herself be carried by one of the Royal Guard clones, disappearing into a tunnel. In exchange, someone else came up to me as I lay there collapsed. I hope it's Capucine, and I hope I run up in time to shoot him. So this is what the strongest monster looks like at the end of his life. Capucine. As I was surrounded by the encroaching clones, the man looked down at me with joy in his eyes. I really do applaud you for resisting your end thus far, even after showing all these symptoms. However, I'd be in trouble if you were to do away with any more of my pawns. Making relivers of you isn't easy. My genes aren't meant for you to fulfill your desires. No, Nadia's genes are going to make him fulfill his desires. That's the creepy part. It's too late for that now. My vision blurred as he kicked the side of my head. And the impact and the blood I lost both sapped my strength, and I could hardly even hold my halberd anymore. The last thoughts I had would end in a mix of red and black. This is the end. I see. No matter how many times I told myself not to give up, I couldn't bring myself to stand. Don't worry, I'll take care of my new wife Nadia in your place. I hope you'll bless us on your new journey from heaven, or should I say, from Hades. I heard the sound of one of the clones fixing his grip on his halberd, readying it to smash my head. I closed my eyes, preparing for the impact that would end my life. I prayed that at the very least the ones I loved would be able to live on. But the impact never came. I slowly opened my eyes, wondering what they could possibly be waiting for. Oh, I jumped in front of it, didn't I? To see a large hole opened up in the clone that was about to kill me. Oh, I shot the clone? The body cloaked in black stumbled and fell down right in front of me, now a corpse. I saw very closely that the hollow face under its cloak was the same as my own. What just happened? There was someone rushing in from the entrance. It wasn't anyone from the Corps, nor was it Cyan Brophy's. Lucas! Her body shook as she held out a weapon I had never seen before. The woman I gave my love to. Okay, now we're here. We don't need the... And then I ran and then... No. Just jump right in right where we are. The bullet flew out with a force and speed far greater than I imagined, easily taking a life with it. Okay, good. I killed him with my own hands. A life that was in the body of a human. My body shook from the reality of what just happened, but my feet didn't stop. Readying the weapon again, I pointed it at Capucine. Do it! Don't move! Or I'll tear a hole through your chest next! Capucine's face went pale in an instant. Oh, just do it. Don't, no. Just shoot him. Just fucking shoot him. Please just shoot him. Let me kill him! Just let me shoot him! Though he might not know how it worked, I was sure he understood that the weapon I held had taken someone else down in an instant. What is that? They might not be as polished as their original, but there can't possibly be a ranged weapon those clones are weak to. I don't need to tell you anything. To be honest, I didn't fully understand what just happened either. But I was fine with that, so long as the threat of this mysterious weapon kept Capucine afraid. God, I love this. While keeping Capucine and the clones back, I kept moving closer to Lucas as blood continued to pour out from him. Lucas, can you stand? I'll buy you some time, so please get away from here. Lucas's empty eyes looked up at me. I was sure I looked so pathetic and undependable, shaking as I held my weapon. But I swore I wouldn't run away. As I stood there thinking to myself, I see. The mysterious weapon of yours is quite a threat to us. However, it seems as though this is your first time using it, no? Capucine smiled wickedly. An antagonizing, ridiculing smile. Just shoot him. One thing that instilled fear just by looking at it. Oh, sorry. So what if it is? I replied while trying to mask my fear. Even if I'm not used to it, all I need to do is pull this trigger. I can do that in an instant. Yes, I'm sure. To be honest, I truly am terrified of that weapon you're holding. But, while that may be for myself, do you really think these clones with no will of their own have any fear of death? I'm going to kill you first, so whatevs. Huh? Suddenly, the clones jumped in front of Capucine to protect him. We should have just shot him! You should have just shot him! You should have been like, don't move! You should have just fucking shot him! Damn! Missed opportunity, game. I know she doesn't want to kill, but like, killing Capucine is different. It's acceptable. Then wherever you go, the gates of hell, they'd be like, no. She killed Capucine, though. And then they'd show, there's a list of shit he did, and they'd be like, oh, no, girl, that was a gift to humanity. You go back to heaven. We would never go to hell just for killing Capucine. Whatever. Come on. Well, startled by their sudden movements, I still didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. But it didn't even make an attempt to dodge the bullet. One of the clones purposely let itself be hit and simply fell and died where it stood. Well, good. What? Far faster than I was able to point the gun back at Capucine, the other clones began to rush toward me. I couldn't get away from them. Seeing these clones as real humans was your downfall, Spacey. I'm sure you'll have a splendid view of my victory from Hades alongside the original on the floor beside you. I didn't even have time to feel any rage toward Capucine's gloating. The moment I'd be cut down inched closer and closer with each passing second. This was it. I'm sorry, Lucas. I told you I'd be with you forever, but it seems I'll be dying before you. Ah! The air shuddered from the beastly roar. Right before the halberd was about to be smashed into my face, I won't let you die. Lucas, who was waiting on the floor for his death just earlier, had vanished. And in the blink of an eye, he appeared right in front of me. His right hand grabbed the handle of the halberd swung by the clone and crushed it. What? Lucas! He refused to stop, even as blood poured from him. He jumped onto the clone like a beast with its fangs bared. He does have fangs. Just as the clone gave a sound of surprise, Lucas grabbed its neck and twisted it in a way that shouldn't have been possible for it to turn. Well, he jumped onto the next and crushed its skull. Can we kill Capucine now? There we go. I wish we had shot him. I just wish she had done it. I wish she had just fucking shot Capucine. It would have been so good. Man! Why does Lucas always get the glory of killing Capucine? But you know he's gonna kill him to defend me, so I'm okay with it, but I still wish I had shot him. Lucas's bloodthirst directed itself at Capucine, who gave a small yelp. Capucine's face paled, horrified at the demonstration of how someone on the verge of death could exhibit extraordinary strength to torment his girlfriend. Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! A monster like this can't exist on the land that's about to be mine! With his scream, the clones that were standing ready all attacked Lucas at once. Lucas! I moved to try and protect him, but Lucas stopped me with his arm. He picked up the halberd from the ground. Ugh. And in an instant cut through the clones. Huh? Capucine was standing there in a stupor, trying to figure out what happened. Lucas swung his halberd to remove the blood, then looked down at the clones, dead at his feet. What? Like the giant long what? Impossible! With a scream, he began to flee toward a door leading into another laboratory. In that moment, my body moved on its own. With a shout, Capucine's hand that was on the door was stained red. Did we just shoot Capucine? We only shot him in the hand, but still, we shot him! He was glaring at me, not able to believe what had just happened. I also couldn't believe I hit him. However, I could still feel the shock from the weapon, even after it had already... Wait. Huh? Oh, even after it had already fulfilled its purpose. It was on the next line. After it had already what? Like, okay. Now I'm an accomplice. Just for the next few moments, let's both do our best together, Lucas. A deadly roar reverberated through the hallway. With his eyes fixed on Capucine, he sped up and closed in on him. Don't come near me! I'm not supposed to die here. No, well, I haven't been recognized by anyone. I'm not gonna die as a nobody. Capucine drew out a dagger in his last desperate effort to fight back. As if to completely shatter any will to fight back, Lucas swung his halberd up high as he closed in. I won't obey your orders anymore. And the silver blade. This is the path of sin I chose with her. Consigned the fellow sinner to his demise. You know, just watching Capucine die is like freaking amazing. I love it. It's like the best thing ever. The sun was just rising into the sky. Okay, we can wrap it up now. We killed Capucine, that's all it. Let's wrap it up. Almost all the murderers rampaging through the Institute were dead. And the only one left was Lucas, who committed his last murder. Oh, we got another CG! Oh shit, we got 2 this time! I know it said we get one for the ending, but I thought it was the kiss one. He's so gonna die right now, so. Spacey. Oh, but it's like, this one is tragic, though. Because, like, I meant to, like, hide it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're covered in blood and he's dying, and, like, the lighting is beautiful, but it doesn't really look like Lucas, does it? You know what I mean? And I think it's just because he's covered in blood, eyes closed, and stuff like that. It's okay. The kiss one was, like, had a little bit of tragic in the beauty, and this is all just tragic. And finally, it's all over. A normal person would have already been dead if they had sustained the injuries he had, yet he gave me a beautiful smile. It's not as though I've atoned for the sins I've committed, but at the very least, my genes won't lead to any further tragedy. Yes, you did so well. But in the end, you worked so hard that you drained yourself of all your strength. It's not as if I worked this hard alone. You came after this foolish murderer, still believing in him. That's why I was able to keep going until the very end. The light from Lucas's eyes was slowly fading away. Perhaps it was because of all the blood he lost, or he was simply at the end of his life. Regardless, even though I hated it, I knew the time we had left together would only last a few minutes. Yes, but you don't have to work so hard anymore. I see. I could see myself on the verge of tears in his eyes as they continued to lose their light. But why is it that the moment I know I don't have to work so hard, and that I want to have just a little more time to work hard with you and live together, why am I wishing that when I have no right to ask for such a thing? Tears fell from my eyes, blending with Lucas's before disappearing into the pool of blood. That was what I wanted to tell him, ever since the moment I realized I loved him. If that was what he wished now, it must mean... Is it all right if I wished for that too? I caressed Lucas's cheek as he nodded in return. I want you to live too. I want you to love me. And let me love you. I want to be by your side just a bit longer as family. To him, those words held nothing but cruelty in them. Yes. Thank you. To hear you feel the same way. I really am happy. His longing to be together could be heard between us, however quiet it had become. Finally, I can tell you this of my own free will. I love you, Spacey. I want to live in a future alongside you for as long as possible. While weeping like children and yet smiling at the same time, we both prayed for a tomorrow where we could be with our beloved. You know, maybe in the other endings, not the bad ones that are going to follow this. I feel like that was, yeah, no, you know what? It's really weird that the guide had us get the other ending first, because I feel like this was supposed to be the first ending, the better one, because it had the credit scene and then it has an after one, and the other one was just like, no. It didn't have an after credit scene. A few months had passed after I let go of the first friend I ever made. Oh, Nadia. News of the tragedy of the Institute spread throughout Arpachel, and the society, once headed by Capucine, dissolved. A wanted poster was put up for the murderer, Lucas Proust, the true identity behind Boro and the original of his clones. It said science supporters are all looking into who I am and don't seem at all interested in Lucas. And it seems like Adolphe and his people are only pretending to find him and are actually just letting him go. So he's not dead? And I murmured to myself to keep my mouth shut as well. What to do? I know I helped bring all this about, but I've lost Ordy, who served as my pawn. And now it seems like my plan's gonna take much longer than originally intended. Oh well, I don't plan on giving up, but I suppose I can sit back for a bit and see how things play out. At the very least, I won't stain Arpachel in blood while Nadia's alive. That's my way for making up for getting Nadia caught up in all that mess. I just watch and see if Cyan will be able to dispel the curse and right the morals of this nation. He said something about losing the first friend he ever made. And, I thought that was Nadia, but it sounds like Nadia's alive, too. I mean, the ending family that we're not dead, say that, but the title of the ending, family, would say that we're not dead. My words can't with brain. Alrighty then. I got off the bench and moved myself forward using the wheelchair I had beside me. Is he testing it, or? I reached the home of the Proust family, which I was sure she would return to someday. I borrowed the key to the room using my authority and entered, and parked the completed wheelchair at the center of the room. I pray you'll be able to run across the flower fields all by yourself someday. Goodbye, Nadia. Along with my prayer, I laid a single flower on the seat of the chair. It's weird because it's like he's leaving it here as a gift, but it sounds like, I hope you'll come back someday. But it sounds like she is dead? I don't know. I bid my eternal farewell to my treasure. It sounded... Okay, we're not. But it sounded like, because at first he's like, my friend, and he's giving it to her, and he's like, as long as she's alive. But then it's like, but is she alive? I have no idea. petals of the Lycoris flowers, hated by all the people, danced high into the sky from the winds blown in from the seas, and it sounds like Lucas isn't dead. The black petals rode beautifully along the path the wind blew. This entire end took way longer than the other one. And we're carried all the way into the cavern that our family lived in. Okay, so we're living in a cave. Okay, you know what? This is basic. Not surprised. This is a Lucas ending, absolutely. We lived in a cave until we died, and then he was hanging out with our bones.
Wow! I didn't know Lycoris Noir's petals could look so pretty on the wind.
Right? I loved watching them ever since I was little. Can you see them as well, Lucas? I looked over at him as I asked my question. Lucas answered with a peaceful smile. He'd already stopped breathing. Oh, no. Right before the blizzard of Lycoris petals blew into the cave, he left both Nadia and me. Oh, that's depressing. Okay, we could have just left it where it was. Or even had the dot out. We didn't need this. This is so much more okay. So we managed to drag him out and then he died there. Okay. I want to live in a future alongside you for as long as possible. That wish was granted as Cyan arrived and saved Lucas right after that. In exchange for the details of the crimes committed by Capucine and a detailed testimony, he offered to treat Nadia as well as not aggressively pursue Lucas for his crimes, because he knows that Lucas is basically going to die within days, if not a month. You know what I mean? With his help, Nadia, although not healed completely, gradually rose to a fairly favorable condition. However, there was still no changing the fact that the end of Lucas's life was near. Yeah. Anko, who appeared next, showed us this final place to live our lives together. I mean, and that's why Cyan's like, well, he's going to drop dead in a couple of weeks, so. And along with Nadia, the three of us hid away from any others, living out our peaceful days, all the way until the end of Lucas's life came. We truly lived a peaceful time together. We walked along the shore and the flower fields. We made meals together. We laughed so much and fought at times. And at the end of a few months of sharing a lifetime's worth of emotions, okay, so a few months we lived in the cave, Lucas left us with a smile. He got a few months, though. And, Nadia and I can probably go back and live in the thing.
Brother, he seemed happy even in his last moments. Don't you think so too, Spacey?
Yeah, I really do. He really did have a beautiful smile. Fortunately, Lucas left us without suffering and pain. The whispers of love he gave us up until his last breath, I would never forget, even after death. Oh, now we get another CG. Of him dying. It's a dying CG. It's still pretty, but...
Brother!
Can you hear us? Lucas, we had such a beautiful place to end it, and then you gotta... you just have to keep digging in the tragedy. Holy shit. But we have our little flower rings on. That's beautiful. Please just hear this at least. We love you. Nadia and I will love you forever. I desperately called out to him, and he replied, Yes, me too. I truly love both of you. Lucas desperately responded to us with a quiet voice. His breathing was growing more and more faint. No matter how hard I prayed God to wait before taking him, his pulse continued to grow weaker. Because miracles only happened once. Nadia. Mustering the last of his strength, Lucas spoke the name of his little sister. His eyes weren't focused on her. He must not even be able to see anymore. Still knowing we were right in front of him, he continued, Thank you for being my family. I was able to love you both, and I'm so happy for that.
Me too, brother. I'm so happy I was born as your little sister. If we're born into a new life, do you think we'll still be family?
Of course we will. No matter how many centuries it takes. In Hades, I'll atone for my sins. And I promise to find you in Spacey. So please, wait for me, okay? Unable to hold herself back any longer, Nadia dove toward his body and cried, Spacey. Yes, I'm here, Lucas. I responded to him, and the hand I held gently squeezed me back. He was so weak compared to the strength he had before, and I readied myself, knowing this would be our last conversation together. I wanted to cry and scream and grab onto him, but I desperately pushed down the urge. I wanted to give this to you. Onto his shaking finger, I put on the ring made of flowers that Nadia and I made. One for Lucas and one for myself. Please, take this with you to Hades to remember me by. Thank you. I never thought I'd receive such a wonderful gift. This is all too much for my final moments. He looked up toward me with clouded eyes and continued, To be honest, I wish I could have also made a ring to exchange my vows with you. But I can't make anything, even out of flowers. In exchange, until the very last moment, I'll hold your hand. When you look at your left ring finger, please don't forget, there was a man who wanted to place a ring there. Yes, I won't, no matter what. I took one shaky breath after another, savoring the memories we had together. He looked toward my eyes, which he couldn't see, and spoke with joy. I'm so happy I met you. I walked a foolish path, but I'm proud of the destiny given to me, meeting and falling in love with you. Me too. I was so happy I had a chance to love you. So... In his last moments, I smiled. Thank you so much for meeting me, my husband. You're the love of my life. I told him how happy I was for meeting him. Aww. I whispered and smiled at him and gave him a kiss that barely grazed him. Lucas weakly smiled. Those words are just unfair. I too wanted to continue and live, speaking your name over and over again. His last moments are taking a long-ass motherfucking time is all I'm saying. Like, it's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but there's a part of me that's like, seriously? This man can monologue while he dying. Like, Jesus. I really don't want to die. It seems like the game wants you to, and yet also doesn't want you to. And with a single tear, leaving his last regret with us, he fell asleep, looking happier than anyone else in the world. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty ending, but they're dragging it the fuck on, and it's like, okay. Like, okay. Okay. Like, I reminisced on his last moments. As I did, I sent him off to a deep, deep underground lake that had formed within the cavern. However, before his body submerged completely, sleep well, Lucas. I offered him a prayer as I touched his finger with the ring fitted on. Even though I didn't remember doing so in the past, I still felt something. That I was so happy to have been able to make a ring for him. I will cherish your feelings you left with us, and live my life with Nadia as normal people, with all our strength. Please watch over us from Hades. Goodbye, my love. Please make me part of your family again in our next life. I let go of his hand and saw Lucas off as he sank to the bottom of the lake. Right after he disappeared, of course, I thought I heard him answer me back. Still, even after death, that man can't shut his mouth. I'm sorry, but it's like, it's this last moment and he just keeps talking and you're like, what the hell? Like, seeing out the end of my life among those I love, am I even worth such happiness? No, I should bask in the happiness now. I promise that I'll see you and love you again no matter how many centuries it takes to atone for my sins. When that time comes, I will give you the ring of flowers to place on your ring. I will give to you a ring of flowers to place on your ring finger. I really feel like this should have been the first ending we got to. So I'm really confused why Atome Kitten put the other one first and this one second. You know what I mean? Because this one seemed more like the canon kind of ending. But anyway, we're gonna do our bad endings despite the fact that that fucking took an hour of its own and we should have done that one first, but whatever. I'm assuming hopefully these will be quick, because, like, whatever. All right. I couldn't help but be curious. Okay, so we don't go in a bond that was never made. Okay, this is in the past, right?
Hold on. Oh, sorry. Did you want to take a break, buddy?
The bird was, like, sitting here, and it's been an hour, so I was like, let me give him a break when we're doing and I just threw my mouse again. Every time I get up, because it's sitting on a pillow on my thing, and every time I get up. But then he was like, what the fuck? You moved your hand. Like, you were totally comfortable. I figured you need a potty break. But anyway, so this is when we were a kid and we were hiding we ran away, and then this is where we found Lucas and Nadia. So that's the bad ending. We never meet them. Okay. Don't go in. I shouldn't go into empty alleys. That's what the staff at the orphanage told me. I wondered who was there, but I swallowed down my curiosity. And as if to urge me home, the rain also stopped. I have to get home before I cause the staff any trouble. I began to leave, stepping in some puddles along the way. But I still felt curious and happened to turn back to see... well, this was Capucine. I finally found you. Lucas Proust, I presume. I heard someone talking from the alley. Lucas Proust. What a pretty name. I was sure they'd never want to be friends with an eerie girl called Death. I was sure theirs was the name of a person who shone with dazzling light. Well, that's funny, because that's exactly what happens. You know, they end up finding him or whatever, but it's probably later when he leaves with her. Or we just retconned the entire thing. This is save file 2, yeah. Oh my god, we have to make another save file in this one? Oh, son of a fucking bitch. This is never gonna fucking end. Okay, so we don't trust the voice. It could be a trap. I couldn't trust the voice so easily, but... Let's go, Spacey. We don't have much time. Okay. Okay, so we find Nadia. Okay, let's actually see. This time we'll jump to the next choice, because this part's already going on way too fucking long. I thought another 30, 40 minutes, it's going to take an hour to get that ending, and I'm like, oh, Jesus fucking Christ, I'm starving. I moved toward Lucas, who simply kept repeating over and over, and this time we hold him again. Okay. This time I'll let it skip through because, okay, we're going to see the thing. He's going to go after everybody. He's killing his clones. We're coming up here. I just want to see where this splits off and how it's different. Okay, so he's going to kill Capucine. Coming after everybody. Oh, no, he hasn't killed Capucine yet. Okay, so he's going to kill Capucine. Come on. Well, it took a long time for Capucine to die in this scene. I guess I was just so gleeful that he was going to do it that I didn't even notice. It was like, kill Capucine! No, wait yet. No, wait. Okay. Now he's going to attack everybody else. Okay. Okay, wait a minute.
Brother! Spacey!
How did Nadia get here? The voice was frail, yet filled with more life than anyone else there, and stopped Lucas right in the middle of his swing. Using the opportunity, ignoring his own broken bones, Eve thrust his sword forward using both his hands. When did he get broken bones? I mean, sure, maybe when Lucas slammed him against a wall, but that was never mentioned. Watching him, Adolphe grabbed hold of his sword again. Okay, so we don't shoot him. Okay. A wailing cry. And from both in front and behind, blades were thrust through Lucas's throat. Oh shit, I was supposed to create a save file before we hold it. Son of a bitch, I forgot, whatever. It's okay, we'll just skip through it. We'll just restart this one and do it again. Dark crimson blood burst from Lucas's throat, and after several spasms of his body, Lucas collapsed onto Adolphe's body and died. There wasn't even a chance to say goodbye. Nadia, what are you doing here? As I stood there dumbfounded in front of me, was Nadia approaching me in the wheelchair. She pushed herself with a sorrowful look on her face.
The wheelchair doll it was making was in the room we were hiding in. So while Hugo was out looking for more survivors, I got in and snuck out.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I forgot that she was here.
Brother said he was in pain, so I wanted to help release him from it.
I was speechless. If only I'd used my weapon sooner, this wouldn't have happened. I had burdened Nadia with the sin of helping kill her own brother. I'm sorry, Nadia. It's because I wasn't strong enough. I couldn't call Lucas back to us.
It's okay. It's okay, Spacey. I know how so many people are working so hard to help my brother.
It's not okay. I held Nadia with all the strength I had as she explained herself. At the very least, I didn't want him to die like this. I wanted Lucas to go peacefully as we both saw him off together. My unfulfilled wish poured out of me along with my tears. My face crumpled like a crying child's as I continued to lament the loss of my beloved. At first, Nadia simply stood there staring at me speechless. And the moment she saw Lucas's corpse, his eyes still wide open.
Brother! Brother!
She discovered true despair for the first time, collapsing to the floor, and continued crying until dawn. Nadia, Spacey. They would never be able to hear his loving voice ever again. Afterward. Oh, son of a bitch, there's an afterward? Okay, you're dragging this out. That was the okay, he died. Bad end. Done. I'm just like, dragging this shit out. With the loss of her brother, Nadia had completely lost all will to live. Oh, okay, maybe this might be important. In a week, her condition took a sudden turn for the worse. As if chasing after her brother, she soon succumbed to death. Oh, okay, well, they just had to make it worse. Okay, I get it then. Okay, now, okay, you gotta end it there. They're bad ends, so they should really just be like, hit you, he died, she died, done. Not keep dragging it on. Like, you're doing too much. I really think because I'm really hungry and I just thought the bad ends wouldn't take so long that it'd be okay, but now it's going to be like fucking forever because that other ending took a long, which was fine until we got to the end and then we had to go, and then I was like, okay, it's taking too fucking long now. Like, I know it's me. I should have just waited. I thought it would be a quicker part. Like, okay, it's not going to be like a full hour-long part. It'll probably wrap up. And like, I should have known better because like, but this is where they're dragging it out. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a bad end. Just wrap it the fuck up. Everybody's dead. Good. Okay. We don't need the lamenting and the sadness. We don't need that. We got that in the other endings. You know what I mean? Just die and shut up. In the bad ends. In the other ones, like, yes, I expect, but this is a bad end. Just stop. I was the only one left. I had no will to live myself, having lost two people so dear to me. But someone has to look after their graves. I'd live out the 23 years of my life, carrying this despair with me. I'd make sure they'd never be hurt by anyone ever again. This time I'll protect this place they belong to. I prayed not to heaven, but to the family I loved. And I placed a flower crown and a flower ring atop the graves where they slept. I mean, okay, that was kind of cute, I'm not going to lie. But, like, it's one of those, like, oh my god, but they just keep going? Please be done. Okay, thanks. And unfortunately for me, we have to start all over here because I didn't. Okay, we're gonna don't trust the voice. And then we're gonna skip and we're gonna go back. And now where we should have made a scene, that was the wailing cry end. And then my game's like, no, fuck you. Okay. See, that's why skipping sometimes. This time we're gonna take his hand. And we kind of know what happened. Okay, so we get the atonement but not really. And this time I'm going to skip because like, okay. Skip to the thing, to the bad end. Okay. So, while frozen in time. So let's see kind of where this picks up because, you know, we leave Nadia with Mathis. This is why like skipping it, watching it skip would have been better because now we're just staring at a black screen. Takes a little too long to get there. Okay, so Lucas is fighting, but have we shown up and shot a clone yet? Maybe, because now he's screaming. Okay, he's screaming. I don't want to scream. It hurts. The air shuddered from the beastly roar. Right before the halberd was about to be smashed into my face. Yeah, okay. Okay. But I feel like even after losing an arm, jumping in front of the clone, he bit into its throat, ending its life immediately. So he lost an arm. That was not in the other one. What the? Lucas? The look on his face told me he had lost all ability to think. Okay. However, he still had his sights set on the enemy. And okay, he's screaming. I don't want to scream. It hurts my throat. Grabbing the halberd from the ground, he ruthlessly swung it down onto one of his shadows. However, his movements lacked finesse, and he left several openings to be attacked himself. Two of the clones jumped on him at the same time, restraining Lucas's body. Still, he didn't stop. As he yelled, he killed the enemies in front of him. Okay, and was slashed and injured. And kept killing. And finally, on the verge of death... Don't come near me, you monster! Have you forgotten your debt to me? If I hadn't reached out my hand to help, Nadia would be... With a loud thwack, Capucine's head separated violently from his body. This end is worth it, though, just to imagine Capucine's head flying off his body. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh, but it's so good. Everything else, oh god, the brutality, but then he's like, with a thwack, Capucine's head flew off his body. Like, just, there's something about that sentence that's just so, it just makes you want to giggle. Okay. You know what, Game? I'm going to forgive the fact that I felt like you're, like, kind of just dragging on. It's just me. It's just because I was like, okay, this will be a quicker part, and it was not a quicker part, and I'm hungry. So, like, that's why I'm a little crotchety right now. But this made up for it, so we okay. But, like, let's not drag this ending out. Capucine's dead. Let's go. Detached from its host, the head rolled across the floor, spilling... Listen... Anyone else okay, a thwack in the head and then this, detached from its host, the head rolled across the floor spilling blood, I'd be like, ew. Like, ew, okay, wow, game, but I don't know why this makes me want to laugh maniacally. As we've seen, I can't stop myself. I want to crack up, I want to die because it's Capucine, so, like, it totally deserves it. He's decapacitated. Because capitated? Decapacine, but, you know. Do you get what? Okay. I'll stop. I'm not going to stop. Can't stop laughing. For a moment, I was speechless at the sight before me. Watching Lucas as he stood there in silence, I suddenly came back to my senses. I have to tend to his wounds. I rushed over to him as he stood with his head hanging down. Lucas, show me where you're hurt. I'm sure you'll be saved when Cyan gets here, so please don't give up. I'm going to go with he won't. Lucas? Feeling it strange that he wasn't replying, I looked at his face, and I saw his face in a deep state of peace, as if he had finished all he had to do. However, all movement in his mouth had stopped. Is he just dead standing up? Huh? He wouldn't move. He wasn't breathing. His eyes didn't open. I needed a few seconds to realize he had died, still standing upright. That's what I'm saying! Like, he's just dead standing up, but wouldn't gravity fall him up? Like... And after Lucas was finally freed from all the horrible things that trapped him, yeah, but at the last moment of his life, he got to behead Capucine, so that's why he's smiling. I mean, it's tragic that he's dead, but the beheading of Capucine was worth it. The weapon in his hand fell to the ground, followed by his body, and until dawn broke, shouldn't have been the kind of effort you had to make. I clung to his body, continuing to cry. This incident, caused by the Society, quickly ended with the death of its leader. I didn't know if the future that Arpachel was headed for would be a good one or a bad. Regardless of which it would become, Lucas is no longer here. I embraced that reality. And I also held on to the memory of his smile. Living the rest of my life, unable to smile myself. Aw, that's kind of sad. Did we need that? No. We could have just left it with him dying. You'd have to be like, I can never smile again. Not even when you imagine Capucine's head rolling across the floor. Because I could smile at that. At least we got some CGs. Finally. Okay. So, like, I'm not gonna lie, I think this ending, okay, not the bad endings, but like this other ending was way better, to be fair. So I'm just kind of curious as to why this one wasn't the main ending, especially because I feel like this should have been the canon ending. So I'm really confused why. Like, because I can't imagine that Otome Kitten thought that the other one was better than this one. Like, the family, you know what I mean? This one just seemed way better. It just, I don't know. One, you get more CGs, and two, like, you got to at least be with him for a little while with Nadia, and it was kind of sweet and everything like that. Like, you know? So, anyway. Even though, to be fair, this CG is tragic, it doesn't look like Lucas, is what it is. I think that's part of it, too. You know what I mean? Like, there's something about, so like, there's something pretty about it, don't get me wrong, but it is kind of, I think, the most disappointing one we've had so far for, like, all of them, because it doesn't really look like Lucas. And, like, it is pretty, though, like, the way she's got her head on his shoulder and everything like that, and, like, the positioning and everything. And obviously it's tragic because we're covered in blood and he's dying, but it doesn't look like Lucas. There's something about it that just doesn't seem like him. So, like, it kind of makes you go, oh, well. And, like, this one's beautiful, although it's tragic because he's fucking dying. He's basically, literally, like, a step from death. So, like,
Did could we have had, like, a cuter, like, could we have had something different, like, in a different situation, like, before he died, and, like,
but I get it, because it's, like, remembering his last moment as opposed to, like, oh, here's a CG with, like, Nadia and Lucas and us, and, like, oh, we're going to exchange the little rings or whatever, like, 2 days before he died or something, where, that would have been cuter and, like, made a better CG, but this gets more impact, so I kind of see. You know what I mean? And it's, like, pretty, but it's, like, all of his CGs are kind of tragic, except for that first one we had. Like, this one, that's the only good one. I mean, not the only good one. This one's okay. This one's pretty. We got some blood, and she's got a giant saucer eye. She looks a little goofy. But, like, it's a little goofy, but, like, it's still pretty in a way, But anyway, yeah, that was all of Lucas's bad endings. I didn't mind them. Actually, I mean, again, you're just like, okay, just wrap it up. But I think that's just me, because, like, I'm fucking hungry, and I thought, like, okay, we could go another, like, 30, 40 minutes, and it's been an hour and 20, so, it was, like, 40 minutes more than I was expecting to go, so, anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up here. We will start Lucas's, emotion stuff next time, so, and we'll start with the despair ending, like we do with everything else, but anyway, Bird, shh, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.